A week ago, we went through the New South Wales 1 to 17 I would pick if I was able to be Freddie Fittler in a different life. That went just somewhere that I didn't expect it to go in those first couple of seconds. But now, we're taking the role of Billy Slater. This is my Queensland team. Not who I think Billy will pick, but if I was the Queensland Origin coach. They're probably still going to get smashed, but let's hope we haven't put the jinx on it. I did it last week by tipping Tommy, and then obviously that predicted lineup ended up lasting only about 48 hours because Tommy ended up being ruled out for the rest of the season. If anyone wants to know, I would put Tony Staggs and Stephen Crichton in the centres. The other argument is maybe Jack Warren, but I would go Staggs and Crichton. Here is my Queensland team, guys. Smash that like button, comment your Queensland team down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get straight into these cane toads. Queenslanders are starting to get excited about the 2022 State of Origin series. Both the best players for New South Wales and last year's demolition of Queensland are both going to be injured for at least the first two games. Obviously, Tommy Turbo out for the season. And fun fact, New South Wales have only managed to win one game without Tommy Turbo since 2018. So is your one-man team for Manly and New South Wales? Well, we'll get a good look into that this series, but Queenslanders are definitely confident. You could argue that some of their key members, like Munster, like their captain Cherry Evans, are actually in better form than some of the New South Wales players. While New South Wales do have the depth, there is no doubt that Queensland are in a much better spot this year than they were last. So here is my Queensland State of Origin lineup for 2022, starting with the back five. Now, at fullback, I go Kalen Ponga, who has pretty much become a bit of an Origin play. He has struggled along with the Newcastle Knights in the regular season, but he has actually had some pretty decent games and he is still trying his guts out. We've seen how good he is in Origin. Reece Walsh is a close one, but he's suffering from the same thing that Kalen Ponga has been. And I do think that a couple of weeks ago you would say Walsh is the form fullback out of the two, but now I do believe it's definitely Kalen Ponga and he has to be there. Walsh will probably be in the extended squad, but the Warriors do have a game, so maybe he can come into it for game 3, and he's definitely the next fullback in line if Kalen Ponga were to go down with an injury. Touch wood. Now, on the wings, I have changed this one. Last week, I would have had Corey Oates on the left wing. However, I have dropped him for the Throbbo. I've chucked Selwyn Cobbo in there. The main difference being, while both of them have been incredible this year, is the X factor and the speed. I feel like if he's going to be on the left, you're going to be marking the Fox Josh Addo-Carr, and I reckon that Cobbo will be able to negate his speed better, especially defensively. Corey Oates, he is been great this year. However, I still think that he probably isn't at the same speed level as he once was, whilst Cobbo has definitely come out of nowhere in the past few weeks. He is on a different level. His X factor, his returns, his physicality, it suits Origin so well. It's a bit of a risk. I honestly wouldn't go mad if you did pick Corey Oates, but I definitely feel that Cobbo can just offer a bit more than Corey. Although if you want to go the experience route, I'm sure Corey Oates will do a job. On the other wing, I have got Xavier Coates, picks himself. He's going to be in this Queensland team for the next however long. I don't know how young he is. He's still young. He's going to be in this team for ages. He could be the new Darius Boyd. Probably won't be on a team that could win 8 in a row though, but he's going to be a part of that Queensland team for a while. In the centres now, one was the form centre to start the year, and now the other is the form centre right now. Valentine Holmes and Dane Gagai. Valentine Holmes, I especially was critical of him starting in the centres, but he has become an absolute weapon in there. Dane Gagai, the man picks himself. He's been a beast in Origin. He's arguably been one of Queensland's best ever players, one of their best ever outside backs. He picks himself. The centres are really no question for me. There is only another 2 positions where I think they're more locked in than these two, but Holmes, Gagai, they got to be there. It's a shame that after Hammer's Game 3 performance last year that he won't get a start, but I just feel like if he can't make the Cowboys starting team, who I know have been phenomenal this season, I just don't see him having room in my back 5 with Queensland, which looks and stacks up against New South Wales a lot better than it did last year. The halves, they picked themselves Cameron Munster, who's arguably been the best player this season. Daly Cherry Evans, he is my captain. He is the halfback. He's my captain, Queenslanders, because he's captain of Manly, alright? Don't get mad at me. He's not my captain for you. you bloody cane toads. But DCU, he's arguably been in as good form as any halfback in the competition. Munster's been a top player. Those two, they're a lock-in for this Queensland side. In the front row, Josh Papali'i, he's going to be there. One of Queensland's best ever front rowers. Harry Grant's my starting hooker. Big Tina Fasumalawi, please God, let me learn to say it one day. He moves from the locks to the front row. Another man who's still very young, shows a lot of maturity, has undoubtedly been the Titans' best player this season. He's a lock. In the back row, Kurt Cable starts on the left. His game's only gone to a new level and has become a real leader of that young Broncos side. On the right, Felice Kafusi, I mean, just another lock-in. He hasn't been at his best, Kafusi, but he's got to be in that team. Him and Cherry Evans have performed a great combination in both Australia and Queensland on that right edge. And at lock, I'm going Jai Arrow to start the game off. He's been probably the Rabbitohs' best player when Cameron Murray has been injured. We've seen him do it before, starting at lock. I mean, he was the best lock in the game a few years ago, arguably. Titans fans definitely would have said so, but I'd have him as my starting 13. And then on the bench, Ben Hunt, the number 14. He's a lock for that utility role. Can come on, cover an injury anywhere in the backs, even in the halves. Can play hooker. He's a phenomenal hooker. I put a post up about a year ago saying that I reckon he is the best hooker in the competition. He's just stuck playing halfback. Now, a controversial one. I've gone David Fifita. There is no one who's going to bring more X factor to this Queensland team than David Fifita. He can do what Tommy and Latrell did for New South Wales last season. He can break the game open. He can put him in the edge or in the middle. He may be a bit underdone, but I just reckon you have to have him in there. He has shown it in bits this season. We just haven't seemed to be able to do it consistently. But instead of Brimson and Sexton, if you had Cherry Evans and Munster getting him in position, there is no doubt in my mind David Fifita could be the player of the series. And then finishing off the bench, Paddy Carrigan, he will make his Queensland debut off the bench. Can play anywhere in the middle, could play lock, some great ball handling. He fits a modern day forward so well. And Lindsay Collins can finally return to the Origin arena. There's a few other names. Ruben Cotter, who would be my 18th man. Jeremiah Nana, he just misses out. I go David Fifita just because Fifita's been there and I think he has a bit more X factor. But guys, let me know, Queenslanders especially, what is your predicted team? Not your predicted team, sorry. Your team. Who do you think? Who would you pick if you were Billy Slater? There we go. That's how you say it. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Drop your Queensland team down below. Smash that like button. Let's try and hit 25 likes on this video. And subscribe if you haven't already.
Yes, Fossey, what is he doing? Jack Wine's made a meal of it. And then we have this play again. Foul! Massive space. We suck him in. Dearden's there. Tuolagi can't keep up with him. We're going to have to offload to keep it in. And we do! Another scrum. Another try.